Today I will be ranking every single 5-star gem inside of Diablo Immortal on the tier list, sharing my personal opinion, how I would rate each 5-star gem. And before I start, again, this is my personal opinion and not a fact. You can have a different looking tier list. Now that is out of the way, we have 25-star gems to go through, so I will try and keep this video short, and you will also able to find the timestamps for each gem. And now starting with our first gem, that is going to be Hellfire Fragment. I will put this in C tier because for the range classes it isn't that good in PvP or PvE. When the gem gets triggered, especially in PvP, you are mostly not close to anyone, and usually the gem does not end up hitting your target. And as for the melee classes, they can use the gem a bit more, so for them this could be a B tier, but overall I would put this gem in C tier because we have a lot of gems which are much better compared to the Hellfire Fragment right now. Moving on to the next gem, that is going to be the Starfire Fragment. This gem I will put in A tier only because of the PvP. It is a must gem for PvP to stun your target. It has a really high accuracy, and the speed at which it triggers and hit your target can be really important to stop or push the idol. And so why most of the creators or players say that this gem is a must. So I will be putting this gem in A tier because of PvP only, but if you don't care about PvP, then this gem is going to be somewhat B tier in my opinion. But for now I will be keeping the gem in A tier. Next we have the Spiteful Blood. Spiteful Blood used to be not all that good, but now it might be somewhat a decent time to get the Spiteful Blood, especially if you like doing a lot of PvP. Tempests are very heavily focused on their primary in PvP, so this gem can help you avoid and become immune to the primary attack when they are trying to hit you. Same for a demon hunter. If you want some protection from a demon hunter, Spiteful Blood can help you. But if you don't care about PvP, then this gem will drop maybe to the C tier. But for now, after getting Tempest, and they are very heavily focused on primary and the dashes, so it can be somewhat a decent gem. Why I am putting this in A tier, especially if you like doing a lot of PvP. If you only do some PvP here and there, then this gem is like maybe C or B tier, but for now I'm putting this in A tier. Moving on to the next gem, that is going to be the Frozen Heart. Frozen Heart for me will go in B tier, not because it is not good. The only reason I'm putting this gem in B tier, it can be really good for some classes and it can be not that good for the other classes. And in PvE we don't need these shield. This gem is mostly only good for PvP, so why I am putting this in B tier. This gem can be really good for Tempest, Barbarian, Crusader who get close and personal with their enemies in PvP and want some more shield and chill around them. So a good gem, but depends on the class and the build you are playing. And now moving on to the next gem, we will be speeding this up a bit. We still have a lot of gems to cover. We have the Concentrated Will. For PvE, most of the classes maybe won't be using dashes all that much. So speaking of PvP, some classes can use this gem a lot, like Tempest. For them, this gem is going to be maybe S tier or A tier. The amount of dashes that Tempest is currently using, this gem is freaking fantastic for them. And for some other classes like Wizard, Demon Hunter, they can use it as well with the teleport, but they have longer cooldown for the dashes compared to the Tempest. So a tricky one for me to put in the tier list. I would say for Tempest it is as A tier. For PvP, even in PvE, Tempest will be loving this gem. But we are also talking about some other classes, so I think it is safe to say this gem is very powerful when you are using the dash in your build. So that is another thing. Some builds might not use dash, other builds might use the dash. So for some build this gem might not work, for other it will work. So I will be putting this in B tier, not because it is a bad gem. It is a very powerful gem in my opinion, but some builds might use it and others might not use it, so why we are putting this in the B tier. Next we have the Gloom Cask. It is a really good gem. You can increase the duration of the gem with having more beneficial duration, and if you can get more attack speed you will also launch a lot more blades, but it is not that good for classes in PvP. You don't use your primary all that much unless you are Tempest, a Demon Hunter, or some class which is very primary focused in PvP. But in PvE it will be really good for all classes. All classes are very primary focus, so PvE this is going to be S tier, but for PvP I will put this gem in A tier. Fantastic gem. I have this at rank 7. I would highly recommend. What I usually do is I just use a auxiliary gem in PvP instead of having the Gloom Cask. I just use more of the deep as a auxiliary at a Gloom Cask spot. So now moving on to the next gem, that is Void Spark. I will be putting this gem in A tier. The reason for that is PvP. If you are someone who is utilizing damage over time build, you have Roiling Consequence, you have Seeping Bile, you have Viper Bite, you can chain lightning between players, and even the players who are off screen, there is a chance that they will get hit from Rolling Fire, they will get poisoned from the Viper Bite and Seeping Bile, and I have seen this happen to me plenty of time, even when I am trying to stay behind my teammates, trying to provide support with my freeze as a wizard. I'm getting hit from the Void Spark, someone who is not even on my screen, but I'm getting poisoned, I am losing HP, other gems are getting triggered on me. A really good gem for PvP just to get that range and apply some of the damage over time effects on players who are not even close to you. So for a melee classes, this gem is going to be really good who get close and personal and get hit from the range classes. It will be really good gem for them. Now it will also give you some attack speed whenever it gets triggered. You can also increase the duration of this gem by having more beneficial duration. So this is where I will put this gem A tier for PvP reason only. Now moving on to the next gem, that is the Phoenix Ashes. It will go into the trash tier because of the amount of duration. It has 3-minute cooldown. That is a bit too much in my opinion, and we have a better option to get cheat that. Now you can go and buy a cheap pet with a savior passive that can give you a cheat that as well, and a lot better than Phoenix Ashes. Next we have the Chip of Stone Flesh. This gem is PvP focused only and will work with some build and will not work with other builds. So the reason why I am putting this in B tier in PvE, it is not needed at all, and also it will not work versus bosses, so no use in getting this gem to fight the easy monsters in PvE. And when it comes to PvP, you need certain builds and skills that can trigger the Chip of Stone Flesh. You need to have Stun, Fear, or Freeze, something like that to trigger this gem. So why I am putting this in B tier, same as the Concentrated Will. It will work with some build and will not work with the other build. And now moving on to the next gem, that is going to be the Howler Call. I will put this gem in C tier. The accuracy of the wolf isn't all that great. It does have some chances of stunning your target, I know, but still I will put this gem in C tier. Very easy to dodge this wolf, especially in PvP, and the duration of the wolf is just like 1 second, doesn't do all that big of a damage. So it is a hit and miss type of scenario, and PvE it is not that good either, so I will be putting the gem in C tier. Moving on to the next one, that is going to be Seeping Bile. It has only 4% chance of triggering, but if you are somewhat wanting damage over time builds, then this gem is going to be must. But if you don't care about damage over time stuff, then this gem is going to be C tier. But overall, pretty good gem. If you have a Viper Bite as well, it will be decent in PvE and PvP. Still, till this day, a lot of players are using the Seeping Bile in PvP to get some additional dot hits, which works somewhat good with 4 pieces of Grace of the Flagellant to get additional hit and cancel the healing of the players. So I will be putting this in a tier, but if you don't care about PvP all that much, then it might as well be C tier, but I'll be putting this in A tier for PvP reason only. Moving on to the next gem, that is Blessing of the Worthy. I will be putting this gem straight into the trash tier now. If you don't have full HP, the blast damage of this gem isn't going to be all that great, and most of the time when you are fighting right now in PvP, you lose HP really fast, so your gem will never trigger at 100% blast damage even if you are a rare. And also you need to be closer to the player for that blast to hit. And why I'm putting this in a trash tier, not that good in PvP. And when it comes to PvE, again it will be randomly getting a trigger if you are somewhat close to a trash monster, or some enemy using a bow hit you, it will get trigger and you will not hit anything, so it goes in a trash tier. For now, I don't recommend this gem to anyone. Moving on to the next gem, that is Blood-Soaked Jade. Gives you damage, gives you movement speed, and a must gem for anyone playing Diablo Immortal right now. Even if you are a free-to-play player, try and get this gem. Having that 10% movement speed is really good for PvE and will help you survive and run away in PvP as well. So easily a S tier gem for me. Moving on to the next gem, that is Echoing Shade. Now Echoing Shade is really good gem if you want to get the highest and the biggest damage numbers on the dummy. But other than that, when it comes to some hard content like the Challenge Rift, those Echoing Shade will die really fast, will be useless, and when it comes to PvP, they will be useless as well. Echoing Shade will not confuse anyone and they will die off really fast. So I don't see the reason of using this, just because you can get a lot of damage on the dummy and do some dungeons fast. I don't think I can recommend this gem to anyone just because of that. So I will be putting the Echoing Shade in the C tier. Like I said, raids will be somewhat okay, but if you go and do Goglet or Challenge Rift PvP, this gem is not going to help you and go into C tier for me. Moving on to the next gem, that is Bottled Hope. Again goes into the S tier for me. Gives you damage, gives you movement speed, gives you some cooldown reduction, and on the top of that, if you have beneficial duration, you can extend the duration of this gem. It is somewhat a must gem for everyone playing the game right now, either PvE, PvP. It is a must gem. Most classes are nowadays using something that trigger this gem, meaning having a buff skill, so easily go into S tier for me. And now next gem is going to be the Zwenson Haunting. Goes into the trash tier. It only gets trigger when something dies, and by the time it gets trigger, everything is dead around you, so you only get resonance out of this gem, which isn't good for PvE. We have a lot of other options instead of Zwenson Haunting, so I will put this in the trash tier. Next gem is going to be the Roiling Consequence. Again, it will go straight into the S tier. Gives you critical hit chance, gives you that fire and damage over time effect as well, which is super awesome. If you have some type of wind element in your build, you can just add this to your slot. It will put the fire effect on your enemies, and if you hit them with the wind, it will also create a firestorm and also gives you a critical hit chance. So in my opinion, it is a must gem for everyone playing the Diablo Immortal in 2024 right now. Even for free-to-play player, I would easily recommend this gem. And now we are only left with 3 gems. I will be ranking the Moth.D. We'll be putting this in B tier. In a PvE, you don't need this gem all that much. It will randomly trigger and hit the monsters. You have no control over this gem, even though it can break the armor. Still will be somewhat B tier. And when it comes to PvP, if you are not using Starfire Shard, it might end up missing the target and they will able to escape from the Maw of the Deep. So why I am putting this gem in B tier. In harder content like Challenge Rift Goggler, this will be somewhat good gem to break the armor and pull the enemies together. But it is a decent gem. Some might even say it is A tier for PvP, which I will agree myself. And others will say this gem trigger and miss every time. And the reason why I am putting this in B tier, just to be safe on my part. And now next gem is going to be Hilts of Many Rum. This gem is trash at rank 1, 2, 3. Not even good for the auxiliary. But if you can get this gem to rank 8 or 10, then it will be somewhat decent or maybe even B tier. And we all know that it is not easy to get a gem to rank 8, 9, and 10. So for most players, this gem is going to be trash. You will not be stunning anyone in PvP with this gem because the chances of stun is extremely low unless you rank this gem up, and then you will have higher chance of stun in PvP. Then this gem becomes somewhat good, but since we won't be ranking this up, most of us won't able to do that, so it goes into trash tier. And now we are left with the Stormvault. I will be putting this in the B tier. For some classes it will be good, for other it will be really bad. For wizard who use the Arcanman in PvP or in PvE for hard content, it will be really good. You can pull enemies together, freeze them, and it will trigger on them. Most players will not able to escape from the Stormvault, and if you have the Roiling Consequence, it will also create a firestorm, and it is one of the highest damage dealing gem inside of the game. So depends on the class and the build you are playing with, but the combination with the Roiling Consequence and Stormvault is going to create a firestorm. This is somewhat decent gem for PvP, and PvE it will be good for the harder content like Challenge Rift or the Goglet or the Raid bosses. So there we go. This is my tier list for 5-star gems. Let me know in the comment section down below how would you guys rate some of these gems differently. And again, before I log off, this is my personal opinion here, not a fact. You can disagree with me, that is totally fine. See you all in the next one. You guys have a great day.